Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1984 Detroit Tigers season replay. Today we're going to look at the rosters of the National League West Division. As you can see here, the Dodgers won the National League West last season with an 88-74 record, just a couple games better than the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds, you may remember, won the World Series in our sim in 1982, so they dropped down a notch to second place. They're followed by the Braves and the Padres that just barely got over 500. Then we had the Houston Astros with a 79-83 record. They won the World Series in our sim in 1981, which was the strike-shortened year. And then the Giants ended up in last place for the first time since we began the sim in 1980. In the last video of the National League East, we showed you here that the National League MVP was Len Matusik of the Philadelphia Phillies, a guy that really didn't have much of a playing career in real life, but in our sim, he was the National League MVP, batted .273 with 29 home runs and 108 RBI. The Cy Young Award winner went to J.R. Richard, with a record of 22-6 with a 2.06 ERA and 243 strikeouts. As I mentioned in that last video, J.R. Richard was out of baseball. He had a stroke, was forcibly retired, and then you probably know what happened to him the rest of his life, living under bridges with mental health issues and drug abuse. And then the Rookie of the Year in the National League was Russ Morman of Montreal. And he put up some pretty solid numbers. You could even argue he might have been deserving of the MVP compared to Len Matusik. He batted .283 with 24 home runs, 108 RBIs, and he is represented here with his 1987 Topps rookie card, in which he was on the Chicago White Sox. So he has found some success well before he ever actually made it to the major leagues. So that is a quick summary of the National League West from 1983. Let's go ahead and get things started by looking at the last place San Francisco Giants here. Here is their roster, and it looks like they have two rookies that are in the middle of their lineup. And what we're doing, if you are not familiar with our format here that we've done for the American League divisions and the National League East, we are looking at their rosters, their lineup, their bench, and then we just take a quick look at who they have in the minor leagues to see if they have anybody that will be able to help them in the near future. If they don't have any stats, you'll see I have it set here to last season. That means they're most likely going to be a rookie for this year. And, will they be effective? That's always the question, I suppose. So it looks like their leadoff hitter is going to be Mark DeJohn, who you may be wondering who the hell that is. Well, we traded him to the Giants. When was that? Back in 1982, so that would have been 2 seasons ago, with a minor league pitcher. And we got Guy Solars, who I think is actually on San Diego now. But Mark DeJohn is, at a 30-year-old, is their everyday shortstop, and he put up some okay numbers for a guy that did not have much of a major league career. Batting second will be Mike Aldretti. Looks like he is their everyday left fielder. He's pretty young as well, at age 23. Then batting third will be a rookie, straight out of single-A ball, Luis Medina, who is a 20-year-old first baseman with an overall rating of 78. He did hit 29 home runs. Wow. In the minor leagues, he's got a 94 power, so that's always welcome in our game. Someone's got a little bit of pop. We don't have very many batters that get over 30 home runs. And I don't know if that's something that's tied into the gameplay for Baseball Mogul, or if it's actually just a factor. If it's just a factor of the ratings not producing the right results, I'm not sure. Batting cleanup looks like it will be Eric Davis. Now, Davis is not a rookie. He just did not play in the major leagues in 1983. He got a call-up in 81 as an 18-year-old. As a 19-year-old, he played almost every day. He only batted .219 with 19 home runs. I guess they thought he needed some more seasoning, which clearly he probably did. He did not bat at all in 83. He was in Double-A, put up some okay numbers, 103 RBI in Double-A, and now he's been called up to play center field and be the everyday center fielder. So that will be an interesting thing to follow. Will Eric Davis put up some big numbers as a 21-year-old? Then batting fifth is Phil Ouellette, a catcher who took over for Dennis Littlejohn when he was traded to Boston, you may remember. And he did okay, batted .232 with 16 home runs. Not a lot of great hitting catchers in this era. Now, here is a player that I think is really interesting. I can't actually wait to talk about this guy. Here's Tom O'Malley, represented with his 1984 Topps card. He was a rookie last year, played every day, put up some good numbers. A player in real life who didn't get much PT, batted .235. But you may remember that he had a 99 rating everywhere in the infield and in left field last year. How did he do? As a third baseman who started 148 games, he only made 3 errors. That has got to be a record, right? That's unbelievable. And I guess that's the nice thing about having a fielding rating of 99 and the overall ratings of 99. Now he's dropped down to 95 and a 91 at shortstop, which he didn't play anyway. So I'm very, very curious to see what his error total does this year, as it's been diminished by 4 rating points. So that will be something that we'll keep track of, I think, just to see what happens. Then we've got Chris Bourgeois, who is in right field. He is actually an everyday player for them. His son played in the majors as of like last year or 2 years ago. I'm not sure he's getting a lot of PT right now, but he was a speedster. Chris is not, but he's been consistent since we started the Sim in 1980. He's got 62 career home runs and has become an everyday player for the Giants, which is maybe why they finished in last place. And then Brad Wellman will take over the everyday role at second. Got 157 at-bats last year. Batted .261. Now we'll take a quick look at their bench. Rob Deere could very well be the right fielder. I mean, as a rookie last year, he had 8 home runs and 143 at-bats. He's got 95 power. I mean, he's a 3 true outcome guy, and he's got a rifle for an arm in the outfield. That guy should be playing every day. Wait, who did we say the right fielder is? Chris Bourgeois. Bourgeois. I don't know, it's French. But yeah, I mean, I think I would rather have Rob Deere in there, and he's only one. Oh, well, actually, he's, 3 points better rating-wise. So I don't know, man. I'm sure he'll get plenty of time in there before the end of the year. And then, hey, why not bring up another right fielder? Candy Maldonado as a rookie, 23 years old, and he is on the bench. Can't play center field, so he's not really like a 4th or 5th outfielder. But a good bat off the bench. Their backup catcher is Milt May. 33-year-old was on the Pirates in real life in 1984. A low rating, but still has a good defense. And as you can see here, his PT has diminished over time. In fact, he didn't even play in 1981, wherever he was. Then we have Ken Oberkfell. He was on the Cardinals as a starter last season. Looks like they signed him as a free agent. Yep, for 5 years, for nearly $1.5 million. And what do? They stick him on the bench. Who's their second baseman? Brad Wellman. Brad Wellman is getting the start. Well, maybe it's going to be. No, it says this is the lineup for both. So he's not even going to be platooned. That's crazy. Tom Runnels is a backup shortstop. That's been his role for several years now. And another catcher, but remember, I change all of their defensive ratings to be where they should have played in real life. So this game thought that Bob Brenly was a third baseman, which is why he was rated very high at third base. I think he played like one game there in real life, and yet his catching skills are not represented properly. I changed it to catcher from third base, and he only got into 8 games as a catcher last year, 2 games at third as a late inning defensive replacement, perhaps. So maybe this year will be the year he gets to play catcher. But Milt May's there, and May is terrible rating-wise. So I don't know. That's very confusing. I'm glad that I did that, but it just doesn't work out for some players. Let's take a look at who else they have in the minor leagues. They have Tim Laudner, who they traded for from the Twins as a catcher, and he is stuck as fourth in line. Casey Parsons, kind of a nobody in real life, but he has been their first baseman for quite a while now, and now he's been sent down to AAA. Joe Strain, he was an everyday second baseman last year for them, and now he can't get a job on the bench even. With Brad Wellman and Oberkfell, so forget that. Chili Davis, for whatever reason, his ratings are terrible in this game. He is relegated to AAA this year. Actually, his first year in AAA, so at least he's moving up. And Max Venable batted .312 last year. So they have plenty of outfielders. That's for certain. In AA, they got a bunch of schlubs left over, low ratings. Is there anybody here to get excited about? Sid Bream, rated an 85 at first base. He's somebody that could be useful for any team. That's it for AA. What about single A? Players who are still a couple years off. One of them, Keith Millers. I know there's 2 of them in this era. Darrell Hamilton's got a 92 rating. That guy's got a good future. Hey, there's Ozzie Guillen for shortstop. Who else do they have here? Anyone else? Somebody named Todd. Mike Bordick is rated an 89 as a max. Steve Decker at catcher. Todd Haney and Luis Rivera. So there is a decent amount of 80 and higher rated players in single A. So they do have a pretty decent future. I guess finishing at the bottom of the National League West for so many years, 4th, 5th, or 6th spot, has allowed them to get better draft picks. So they do have some players that can help improve their team in the future. But without really knowing what Eric Davis can do for them with his 84 rating, how many home runs is he going to hit? How many stolen bases will he get? That might be one way that they get out of the cellar in the West. Let's take a look at their pitching staff. This will tell us a little bit more. Yeah, they got a bunch of kind of has-beens and never was type of players here. Bill Bordley, he is their ace. 26-year-old left-hander. He went 5-10 last year with a 3.65 ERA. Not a ton of strikeouts. He is supposedly their ace, and he has really yet to pitch a full season, so that's an unknown factor. Mark Dempsey, another kind of never was kind of player, 11-17, 3.86 ERA. At least he ate some innings up for them. Had 34 starts. There's Ed Whitson. That's a name I'm sure everyone recognizes. He was 9-15 with a 4.53 ERA. Okay, strikeout total. Gave up a lot of hits. 263 hits. If you're taking a look at these closely as I'm talking, keep in mind that 1980 was the year that we started the sim. So everything before that is his real career numbers, and everything after is what's happened in our sim, right? Okay, and then Bob Nepper, starting pitcher number 4. He went 13-16. At least these guys these name pitchers we recognize, they're giving them innings, even if they're not incredibly great quality innings. He had 158 strikeouts. That led the team, it looks like. And their number 5 starter is a guy that's holding a bat. That's never good. It's Mike Rowland. He is a guy who is getting a chance here at age 30 with a 76 rating. 31, actually. That's not good. So, yeah, this pitching staff is just mediocre. The rotation is mediocre. Let's take a look at their relievers. Looks like their closer is going to be Frank Williams. He had 18 saves last year. He was a closer in real life, and he was actually on the Giants. I tend to remember something about him being a Native American, and he was kind of one of the few Native American pitchers who've ever pitched in the majors. So I believe that's true. He is their closer, and he didn't put up very good numbers, so I'm not sure if that would be helpful. But it looks like they have Jeff Russell as an option. This will be his rookie season, and he is a closer in real life, and he probably will help them out quite a bit. He's still got some room to grow, and actually his ratings don't look very good at all. But as a setup man, he probably will get some opportunity and eventually take over that position. Terry Cornut. He is got some. I mean, here's a guy I don't know how he's even pitching in the majors, but he gave him 61 innings out of the pen last year. Walked more than he struck out. Not awesome. Chuck Hensley, a rookie. He will get a chance to pitch out of the pen. And Jeff Robinson. There are 2 Jeff Robinsons of this era. One of them pitched for Detroit, and it wasn't this one. I think it was Jeff D. Robinson, middle initial D, that pitched for Detroit. But here's a guy who was in the majors in real life in 1984 on the Giants, and he's going to be a rookie. So he will be a long reliever for them. We missed one. Here's Bob Tufts, who looks like he was on the Royals, minor league, the Omaha Royals. He did not pitch particularly well last year. 19 walks, 7 strikeouts, and a 6.21 ERA. So that could use some improvement. Let's take a look then at who they have in AAA. Well, they got Vita Blue. He missed almost all of last year due to injury. Actually, he did miss all of last year due to injury in the majors. He did make 12 starts in AAA. He was out of baseball by 1984. This is a 1984 commemorative card that the Giants gave him, but he did not pitch ever again in the majors. So he is still on the roster. They have a lot of schlubs, including that Gil Rondon that we traded over. They have Greg Minton, who it doesn't look like he's helpful. So, yeah, AAA offers them nothing. Maybe Alan Folks, who is still a rookie at this point, or, first year in AAA. Now, who do they have in AA? Mark Gubicza. Why is he not better? He was in the majors in real life in 1984 with the Royals, but his ratings are so low, I don't know if he'll ever get to play the majors again. They have a guy named Roger Samuels, Colin Ward, Kelly Downs, Scott Gereltz, 90 rating, Tom McCarthy, Don. AA's got a bunch of names here with ratings that they could use. So they have people that could step in and fill these corn nut roles. In single A, I think when you say corn nut, you have to say corn nut. It just sounds southern. Like you should be a race car driver with that name or something. Maybe NASCAR. Okay. They have Todd Stottlemyre in single A. And they have Mike Munoz. They don't really have anybody else. They do have Kenny Rogers, who is currently injured. Is he young? Oh, yeah, he's only 19 years old. And he's got a knee issue that must have happened last year at some point that kept him out for the whole year. So he's got 11 more days, and so he would be ready by the end of spring training, but he's not even close to being ready to be called up. So yeah, I mean, this is a team that's really got nothing going for it but Eric Davis. And unless they call up some of those pitchers from the minor leagues, they're going to finish up in last place, probably once again. Now, the Giants did hit the second most home runs last year in the National League, so give them credit for that. And their team ERA was bad, and that probably tells you all you really need to know about that team. Let's go to the next team. It's the Houston Astros. The Astros, wow. Now, they're playing in the Astrodome still at this point in '84, and not a place to ever hit home runs. And we traded, the Tigers, traded Ricky Henderson to the Astros last year, and he just was terrible for them. I don't think anybody on this team will ever hit, 20 more home runs unless they change the dimensions, which this game is pretty good at making sure that it's up to date with the current season. Maybe I'll double check that as I'm doing the stadiums right now, the stadium effects. So let's take a look at this lineup. They have a couple rookies in there and some other people who just have no power whatsoever. Batting leadoff is Scott Lukes, who's in center field. I love these hot dog on a stick kind of uniforms here. That's what they remind me of. He doesn't have any power. He doesn't have any anything to offer but speed. He's their leadoff hitter. Youch. Center. So batting second is Joe Pittman, a second baseman. Also, it's got some speed. Not a lot to offer otherwise. Not even really particularly good defensively. Batting third is Herman Rivera as a rookie, represented by the Dodgers there. He's 23 years old. Oh, he's got power. He's got 90 power. And he plays pretty good third base, so that'll be a big improvement for them. I couldn't tell you who the third baseman was. Oh, it was Mike Schmidt was their third baseman last year. He might be in their minor league system now, Mike Schmidt. Damon Berryhill will become their catcher. For some reason, he's got a lot of power. Not in real life, he did, but here he does. Okay. And he's got a good arm. So as a rookie, he could offer some offense. Another rookie, Andres Thomas, will play shortstop. He's got 90 power. Come on. These guys never had that kind of power in real life. That's annoying. But, good for the Astros. We'll see how that converts to the Astrodome. Then they have Danny Heap, who will finally get a chance to play every day in right field. He's been basically a pinch hitter. Not great defensively, but he was not the worst hitter in the world on the '84 Mets that year. Here is Gary Ratchich. He's a first baseman, and he will get everyday opportunity as a 29-year-old, really for the first time to play regular. And Jerry Mumphrey still holding on. He was an all-star, correct? He was a Gold Glove winner and an all-star back in '81. So, he's done some good stuff for us since the sim season started. And he did okay last year. 407 at-bats. Wait, is he in center field? Left field. So they're putting him in left, which is his best position, actually. So that's good. Good for them. Let's take a look at the bench here. They've got future Tiger Scotty Earl as a backup infielder. Can play anywhere, really, but not very well anywhere. We have Denny Walling, longtime Houston Astro. Looks like he's been getting consistent at-bats, helping them out. He could probably be, well, he says here's a third baseman, but he doesn't play anywhere. There's Gary Gaetti. There's your third baseman. But like a lot of these 80s players, for some reason, their ratings do not properly represent who they are. Great defensive third baseman, and he had a really decent career. Not the Hall of Fame, but the Hall of Good, I guess. He see any time here probably. He did play a little bit last year. That. Gary Woods, longtime pinch hitter in the majors. He's on the Astros. And Tim Coleman, that's an everyday left fielder who maybe was playing first base last year. Yeah, he was playing first base. Now he's technically a left fielder. Who knows what's going to happen to him? This is a team that's got to get their players straight. There's Al Ashby. He's a backup catcher. That's okay. That makes sense. And now we're looking at the AAA team here. Okay, so AAA, who do they have? Well, they're hanging on to Cesar Cedeno. And there's Michael Jack Schmidt, one of my favorite players all time. He only had 6 home runs last year. Look at how his totals have died since we started the sim. They just do not respect the home run hitters of this era with the ratings. And since he was it a free agent signing? He was traded from somebody named Manny Hernandez from the Phillies. And maybe that was the right thing for them to do because he's pretty washed up. And he's only 34 years old. I think he's still got an MVP in him in real life. In double, like Gary Matthews too, Bill Duran. Okay, let's take a look here at double A. Nothing. They have the Billy Beane, manager, the general manager of the A's. That's cool. They got Bruce Bochy, but he's toast. Luis Pujols, but they do have Paul O'Neill. There's Paulie, 21 years old in Double A, and he could help somebody out. Everybody likes Paul O'Neill. Who do they have in Single A ball? Schlubs. So many schlubs. Jeff Manto, Billy Joe Robideau, Kevin Moss, a one-hit wonder, and Sil Campano, Jose Mota. I mean, that's it. They got nothing, man. They got nothing but Paul O'Neill. And I'm always kind of curious what Kevin Moss might do in one of these sims. But this team is bad. Wow, they're going from the winning the World Series to finishing in dead last. Now, they do have the Cy Young Award winner from last year, and that's about all they have to offer in the rotation. As even Nolan Ryan, come on, he's been relegated to AAA. That hurts. So here's your Cy Young Award winner. It's J.R. Richard. He put up some great numbers. We've already seen that. 12 complete games, though, and 7 shutouts for a 2-pitch pitcher. And this is his final year before he goes to free agency. So I'm kind of wondering, like, since he was out of baseball after the 82 season, I wonder what's going to happen to him. We'll find out. Bruce Robbins, there he is. We traded him over last year in the same deal, I think, with Ricky Henderson. And you know what? He's done a really good job. He's got great ratings. We could just never make it really work for us. Like he just would die off mid-season. And so he's still young. He's only 24. And he's making a ton of money for them. So they must have given him a contract. Yeah, a 2-year deal to stick around. Oh, that was the trade where we got Joaquin Andahar and Rich Gedman. And that wasn't even Ricky Henderson. That was Andre Dawson we dumped off on them. We're terrible. Rick Williams, still pitching, even though he was out of baseball by 1980. He's 11-19. He's an innings eater. Walks more than he strikes out, and he doesn't strike out many. We have Jeff Heathcock. Looks like his first chance to be in the rotation. As a 24-year-old, put up some good numbers. 10 starts, 2.86 ERA. And the number 5 starter is Billy Smith, who lost 20 games in 82 in our sim and did only a little bit better. At least he's trending the right way. Wow, 50 strikeouts in 208 2/3 innings. Oh my God, that is horrific. I love this game sometimes. I mean, these are the kind of results that I like to check out. Well, it looks like they're going to have a new closer since we have Dave Smith who we got from them to be our closer. It is John Urea, who's had a really great career if you look at his numbers, but he's never pitched, more than 20 games in relief? Well, I guess his rookie year he did for the Cardinals. But he will be their closer, and he walked more than he struck out. That is not a good sign. And his endurance is 54. This guy should be in long relief. And yet he is their go-to closer out of spring training. We've got Mark Ross. They can't give it to him because he sucks. 5.81 ERA. Gene Nelson, that's a guy that could close. A right-handed arm. Not the worst ratings ever. Bobby Sproul. That's a guy who's had some good numbers last year. They must have lost a bunch of their relievers to free agency. Because I don't know why they have so many rookies or people who didn't get a lot of experience. John Habian, 20-year-old rookie, will be on the roster, it looks like. And Ron Mathis, who did not pitch in the majors last year. This guy could get some spot starts with his endurance, but he starts off the year in long relief. Okay, let's take a look at the minor leagues. This is all the pitchers they have here. So they don't have a lot to choose from. They do have Larry Pashnick, Detroit Tiger, that we traded over there at some point. And then Nolan Ryan. Come on. If you got a guy that can only get you 50 strikeouts in a year, how is Nolan Ryan not in the rotation, even if the game deems him as a player who is, I guess washed up? At the very least, you got to give him a roster spot. I'd have him start over Billy Smith. I know everybody would. They have the Candyman, John Candelaria, Mike Madden. I mean, these are not good players. In Double-A, here's your closer from last year. Mike Henneman, we traded him over there. He had 17 saves, 5 blueys. I mean, not horrible numbers. He's only 22. He was a rookie in 87, so he's ahead of schedule as far as making it to the majors, but I think I'd rather have him closing than John Urea. And in Single-A, they have one good pitcher. They have Al Leiter. Did they just draft him last year? Yeah, so he's just drafted. Only 18 years old. So we're not going to see him anytime soon. And Willie Frazier. And Brad Arnsberg's got good ratings. Otherwise, they are in rough shape. I think this is a worse team than the Giants. They had 62 home runs total as a team playing in that cavernous outfield at the Astrodome. They did have a lot of stolen bases, and their ERA was better than league average. So you have to give them that much. I have no idea what to expect out of that team. Last place could either be Houston or San Francisco, and I guess I put money down on Houston. The next team is the San Diego Padres. Let's take a look at them. Okay, this is a team. They've got a couple rookies as well. Let's get right into it. They've got Gene Richards leading off, playing left field. This is a great player. Steals bases, puts up plenty of hits, stays healthy, it looks like. He's got 1,100 career hits. So yeah, that's a gimme. He's 30 years old and he's still playing well, making contact. He's batted over 300 twice, and if the game is doing it every other season, this will be his 300 average season. Tim Flannery at second base. Played every day last season. That's good. Tony Gwynn, my favorite all-time player. Almost had 200 hits. He's only 23. He's batted 321 in his first 2 full seasons. I guess 1981 was a full season because we only played 110 games because of the strike-shortened year. But he's already got a career batting average of 313. I'm grateful that the game treats Tony Gwynn with respect, because that would piss me off. I'm a huge Tony Gwynn fan. His overall ratings are not great, but at least he's got a contact at 99. All right. And then Jeff Reed is their rookie catcher. up from Double A. I don't think he's got much to offer. Not good defensively either. And Sean Dunston, a pretty solid and long career in real life. He's going to be the shortstop. Not a great rating defensively, but I think he could be a good hitter. He's got he's only 20 years old, and you'll see here his 1985 card, where it shows he was the #1 overall draft pick in 1982 in real life. So maybe he'll have a good year. Andy Van Slyke. Now, he played every day last year in center field for the Padres, and he can't get on the roster. Look at his defensive ratings. This guy was great. Kind of a fun. He did have power in real life. Who's in center field? Oh, we're still doing the roster. I'm sorry. My brain is fried. Okay, so he is their everyday center fielder. That's great. That's what he should be doing. Broderick Perkins playing first base. Wow, this guy can hit too. In our sim, he's hit 288 in pinch hitting. 312, 339, and 303. That's impressive. And then Guy Solars, we traded over here. We got him from the Giants, as you saw earlier. He went 1 for 29. The one hit was a home run. We were actually taking bets on when he would get his first hit. And then he did, and then we traded him because he was terrible. And then he went over there and played pretty good every day, third base. And he is in their lineup. So good for him. Let's take a look at the bench. Barry Evans, he could play third base. And it looks like he did until Solars took it away from him. He did all right. That stadium must allow for a lot of hits. Kevin McReynolds can play anywhere in the outfield. Phil Stevenson, a rookie, to maybe play first. Marv Foley's the backup catcher, coming from the starting position back to the bench. Pardon me, I need a little drink there. Jerry Davis says he's a right fielder, but only has infield availability here, according to this. And maybe that's why he's dropped off quite a bit. Chuck Baker, shortstop. He's been, every year he's been with this team, getting pinch hits, batting .300 last year. And then we get to the AAA here. So let's see what they've got in a AAA. They do have Marky Wags, former Detroit Tiger. He played every day for them last year. He lost his job now. But look at how well he did. I'm happy for Mark Wagner. He batted only .236 on a team where everyone was batting over .300. But he was a big help to us in '82. Helped us get to the playoffs, where he went 0 for 1 for us in the ALCS. We lost in 5 games in Seattle. They got Crookie, John Crooks in AAA. He could be helpful at first base if they need him. If Broderick Perkins ever ages out. In AA, they got Bo Jackson coming up. Bo Jackson is ready to go. Look at that. He's got a single rating of 83. Holy cow, get this guy into the game, man. 41 home runs and 137 RBI. With 21 stolen bases in AA for the Beaumont Golden Gators. I do have all the team names correct in the minor leagues as well. I went through and searched it. That is my attention to detail, folks. Bill Fahey, we just saw. Mark Wassinger, Russ McGinnis. Let's see, who do they have in single A? Terry Pendleton, his ratings are terrible. Dave Madigan, Gerald Clark, Kevin Ward, Edgar Diaz. Hey, there's Steve Finley. He is only 18 years old, but this guy could play some real ball. Great defensively in real life, not quite there yet. And his numbers don't look good either. Like the power's only 64. Come on. Lenny Webster, also a very good player in his time, as I don't know why WinZip keeps sending me advertisements here. Okay, so I mean this lineup I think could be really good. I don't know what Jeff Reed or Sean Dunston can do, but they do have really good everyday players. They have an okay bench. They have options in the minors. And let's take a look at their pitching and see if the pitching matches up well. We have all 5 starters coming back. All of them had 12 or more wins. I mean, well, what more could you ask for? Ed Wajna. Why does that sound sexual? I don't know. And he is their number 1 starter, 15-10, 118 strikeouts, and 238 innings pitched. He started every time through the rotation. 23-year-old putting up good numbers. He is their ace, rated 88, possibly a 93. That's not so bad. Then they've got Juan Eichelberger at age 30. Had a 14-11 record, 3.65 ERA. Walks over 100. That's not good. Starter number 3 is, come on, John DeQuisto. Oh, come on now. John DeQuisto, he was 15-13, 172 strikeouts. He also walked over 100 batters, so they're letting a lot of guys get on base. And then you just saw Rick Sutcliffe. Now, Sutcliffe is a free agent signing off of the Dodgers, so he was not on the Padres in our sim last year. He was on the Dodgers. Here he's on the Cubbies. He won the Cy Young in '84, didn't he? Because he went 14-1 with the Cubs or some shit. It was something like that. It was kind of amazing. So he will be potentially a great pitcher for the Padres this year. 12-9 for the Dodgers, making only 28 starts. Hey, at least he didn't walk over 100 guys. And their 5th starter is Eric Shaw, who was probably the worst of their starters, 12-17 with that 4.47 ERA. He almost walked up 100 in 215 innings. So he did eat some innings up. Let's take a look at their bullpen. Their closer last year, and will be this year, is someone named Marty Decker. He's 26 years old, and he comes back to the role that he did a fairly good job at. 30 saves, 4 Blueies. Only a 75 rating, but he got the job done somehow. That's all you can ask for. Gary Lucas is her setup man. Not a good ERA, but it was reliable coming out of the pen. Ray Soff. He had a 2.13 ERA. Opponent's batted 2.33. He's good. Bob Patterson, excuse me. 14 games last year. Has great ratings, 84 rating overall. He's a left-hander. In his 2nd season, Gene Walter has not pitched in the majors since 1981. He's 23 now, and a left-hander, and he's been really good when he's been called up. So I'm not sure what he's been doing in the minors. I guess getting some seasoning. He's putting up good numbers in the minors as well. And then the great Dave Dwecky is their long reliever. He's kind of got that in-between endurance where, yeah, he could get a start if he had to. He had 41 innings in relief last year. Not a very good ERA. All right, so let's take a look at their bench. I'm sorry, their AAA. Dennis Blair. Looks like he had 15 starts. He's been a consistent starter for them, but his numbers are terrible. And only if they're desperate will they call him back up. And they got Bob Shirley. Don't call me Shirley. They got Mark Thurmond. I mean, these guys are poorly rated. It's like AAA is where the players go to retire. Except for on this team. They got Rick Wise still at 58. John Curtis at 59. Now, here we go. We got Dennis Rasmussen coming up. Andy Hawkins. Mark Gardner. Greg Booker. Mark Knudsen. Ed Vosberg. These are all players who could contribute right away. Ray Hayward? Why do I know him? I guess I'm thinking of somebody else. And single A, they've got Bruce Ruffin, Kevin Mahat, and Wade Taylor, #1 draft pick for the Yankees once, huge bust. And Bob McDonald, another huge bust, actually. So they do have a couple players down here. I mean, basically for them, everybody's in Double A. So they're like an injury away from having some of these players come up and actually help them. I don't know what the season is going to be like for them. Probably a 500 team at best. But maybe next year will be better. They have some really good players in in Double A that could help them in the Major League rosters, other pitching staff. Okay, that's going to do it for the Padres. Another team that did not hit a lot of home runs. Had a good overall ERA. So we're going to look at the Atlanta Braves. Yes, the Atlanta Braves were once in the National League West. That's just dumb. I mean, I don't really know much about geography, but I can tell you right now, the Braves are not in the West. Darren Daulton. Wow, they got one rookie, and it looks like it's going to be Darren Daulton. This is a team that traded so many people last year. They were making trades all the time. Darren Daulton is a 22-year-old rookie. Dutch Daulton, R.I.P., he got cancer, passed away not too long ago, but a Philadelphia Phillies favorite. He's on the Braves here, and his ratings and such don't look great, but he was a good player. Maybe he will develop in the majors. Somehow he's a leadoff hitter because he's got a penchant for walking, so we'll see. There's Brett Butler, a much better option to lead off, but no, we'll bet him second behind the catcher. That's just dumb. Brett Butler, he must have got injured last year, did he? Yep, missed 3 months due to a broken hip. Oops. But this is a guy that steals a bag or two. And actually, I remember him like being a pretty good hitter. A great bunter in real life. What's his bunting on here? 95. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So Brett Butler in center. Gerald Perry at first base. He's got some power. Tracy Woodson. He's an all-star in this game. Look at that. 25 and 28 home runs. He's just turning 21 years old. The guy's on the trajectory of Ken Griffey Jr., and he plays good third base. He was a home run leader in 82, and an RBI leader in 83, and an all-star for the first time. So, yeah, you're like, you might remember Tracy Woodson on the Dodgers in real life, but not as a prolific hitter like he is in this game. And that, that's kind of the fun of it. I like that part about it. That is not a complaint. It's just weird. Okay, so Juan Samuel will be their second baseman in his second year. Put up some solid numbers as a rookie. 350 at-bats. Don Reynolds, this guy is still holding on. He is Harold Reynolds' brother. This is his third team since we started the sim. And I do remember from that 82 team on the Yankees where for some reason he was their everyday left fielder. And now he will be the everyday left fielder for the Braves. He did okay coming over in a trade last year. I mean, he got 440 at-bats, and 10 home runs combined. So he contributes. Lynn Jones, are we still on the lineup here? Yeah, we got Lynn Jones. He was on our 1980 Tiger team when we started the sim. He's bounced around a little bit, and he gets plenty of PT. Not a home run hitter, but a reliable defensive player. With a 77 overall rating, he probably won't be around much longer. He was on the Royals in real life. He had the Hall & Oates mustache and the specs. Looking good. And former Tiger manager Ron Gardenhire. Twins manager, he is the shortstop. And he played. Okay, let's take a look at the bench for the Bravos. They have Joe Nolan. Speaking of eyeglasses, I wonder if they get together and go to a 2-for-1 deal on eyeglasses with Lynn Jones. Yeah, he's played for the Braves quite a bit at this point on the O's in real life in 1984. Oh, he had 10 home runs last year. He had 14 in our first sim year, so I mean, he's got some power. Bruce Benedict, if you need 3 catchers, which I guess you do. Yeah, I mean, he hit his first career home run last year. Good for Bruce Benedict. And then we have Paul Runge at third base. You got 1 hit in 3 at bats last year. After being their starter in '82, maybe he was injured, I don't care. Then we have Mitch Webster making the team as a center fielder. He's a rookie, 24 years old, pretty solid. 4th outfielder. He can play anywhere out there. He ain't happy. Let's see who we have here. And then Rafael Ramirez at short. Good defensive shortstop. Not much else to offer. And Bobby Bo. Oh, my God. Bobby Bonilla's on this team. He is a third baseman. And he's on the bench, but he had 20 and 21 home runs the last 2 seasons in the minors. May as well get him in there at third base. Who's the third baseman? I've already forgotten. Oh, it's Tracy Woodson. How is he going to get over Tracy Woodson? I mean, his ratings are just a notch below. How many years are on Woodson's contract? Oh, he goes to arbitration at the end of the year. So this is a guy they might trade. How do they feel about Bobby Bo? Will they trade Bobby Bo? They won't trade Bobby Bo. So Tracy Woodson's going to be going to some other team this year. And that'll be good for Bobby Bo. Okay, let's see here. On the bench, they've got Albert Hall, who played quite a bit last year. Batted .304. Can't even get a sniff of the lineup. Joel Youngblood, another outfielder looking for a job. Jeffrey Leonard, former Detroit Tiger. All this guy did was bat .313. Yeah, all he does is hit. And he can't get on this team. They got Brooke Jacoby. They've got Jeff Burrows, who's now lost his job. He batted .310 last year with 7 home runs. Former MVP. Still holding on in real life with the Oakland A's. But, I mean, he's bounced around. And can't get a job. Anyway, who do we have that's good, though? I mean, nobody. There is nobody here. In single A or double A, with the exception of Grubes, Kelly Gruber. He's got an 80 rating. They must not spend any money on their minor league system because they've got nothing here. Johnny Paredes, Doug Jennings, Hector Villanueva, Jeff Gardner, the shortstop, Gary Green, nobody. Felix Jose, yeah, Marcus Lawton, Mark Lemke. Mark Lemke's good. Yeah, they've got nothing. They've got nothing. Just a bunch of schlubs. Oh, there's Mitchell Page, too. He's still holding on. All right. Well, I mean, okay, look, if Darren Dalton, who doesn't lead off, if they use him somewhere else in the lineup and get this straight with Brett Butler, I mean, they have a great hitter. They have a guy with a good eye, good batting average. They have an MVP candidate. You know, they have like good defensive players. They have Bobby Bo on the bench. This is a good team, at least, you know, on paper. Like, this is a team that I could see finishing at least in third place again. Will they get over on the Reds? I don't know. Let's take a look at their pitching. Maybe that'll tell us. Okay, no, this team is not good. With the rotation, anyway. Their best pitcher is Joe Cowley. Now, did he pitch a no-hitter in this game? No. I felt like he did. He pitched one in real life, didn't he? That's where I'm getting confused. For the White Sox or something, I think. Joe Cowley, 13-11, 3.22 ERA. He walked over 100. That seems to be a theme. Larry McWilliams. I mean, all he's ever done is pitch for the Braves. Worked his way up to a regular rotation guy. 13-12 with a 2.78 ERA. That's pretty good. And he doesn't walk many. That's a very valuable player. He's on the block. I'd consider him on the Tigers. Silvio Martinez. He was out of baseball by 84 in real life, but he's 12-11 last year with a 4.53 ERA. And he has reached that point where he's walking more than he's striking out. Even for his career, he's now walked more than he struck out. That is not good, but he'll pitch you over 200 innings. That's not nothing. And then Rick Bahena, he will be in the rotation for the first time in his career. He had a 2.2 ERA last year, more walks than strikeouts. Come on. And then the number 5 starter is Steve Mura. We tried to give him a go on the team last year, and he sucked. And then he went to Milwaukee and sucked. So, as a number 5 starter on the Braves, I mean, who cares? Let's take a look here at their bullpen. Oh, they've got a lot of players that I love. They've got Bedrock as their closer, Steve Bedrosian. He has basically been their off-again, on-again closer since we started the sim. He had 26 saves last year, his high, and a total of 66 in 4 years. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but in our sim, like, closers just don't get the closing opportunity unless they're, on the team that I'm playing. So the fact that he got 26 last year shows he's trending in the right direction. They've got Paul Ossenmacher, pretty good left-handed pitcher. I saw they have 4 lefties in their bullpen, starting with Ossenmacher as a setup guy, Craig Lefferts, a closer at one point for the Padres, and awesome last year, although he didn't pitch all that much. Tippy Martinez, who's been just a model of consistency here, coming over from Baltimore to Atlanta. He would close for Baltimore back in 1980. Gets a few every year. And then look at this, guys. Oh, yeah, it's Cappy. Capizzello. Did we trade him over here? Yeah, we traded him for money. For cold, hard cash. And, I mean, I love this guy, but we could not afford to pay him middle relief pitcher fees. He was great for us for 2 years. I mean, really, a career 2.51 ERA. I hated to see this guy go. He was an all-star for us in 1982. I think he was our only all-star. So we had this card made to represent him. And, I mean, he doesn't walk anybody. He strikes out a ton. Nobody gets on base. We love Cappy. He's on the block. And then Danny Darwin is their long reliever, and he came over from Texas. And maybe he'll get a chance to pitch this year. Okay, let's take a look at who they have in their AAA system here. They have Tony Brizolara. He threw 219 innings as their 5th starter last year. Maybe should have stuck with him. He's got to be better than Steve Mura. He went 10-14. Well, they have Craig Eaton and Ed Glynn, both with an 80. Ken Daly's got an 83. Craig McMurtry's got an 84. So they actually have some players. I mean, look at all the players who got an opportunity last year. Nate Snell. In AA, they have Lamp. I love Lamp. Bunch of schlubs, and then they have Joe Johnson, who is always good in our sims. I don't know why he is so well rated, but this is the guy we may as well trade for. Like, well, they won't trade him, but we may as well trade for him because I always do in our sims. Zane Smith, they have Ken Dixon. Those are not names. And then we have Dennis Cook in Single A. Hell, they called up Ed Allwine from Single A last year. Jeff Dedman, Edwin Nunez, Jose Guzman, that's a good starter. Luis Aquino, Ken Hill from Detroit, Jose De Jesus, Doug Linton. So they, you know what? I mean, I don't really know what to say about this rotation. I don't think it's very good. But their bullpen is lights out. I mean, I really like this bullpen. Too many lefties. They need to get rid of one of these left-handers and get a righty in there. But other than that, I mean, that is a great bullpen. Yeah, this is a third-place team again. And maybe they could jump over Cincinnati, who's a small market team. And I don't remember if they have good players or not. No, they don't. I mean, they don't have anybody with any power. Let's take a look at their lineup. That'll tell you what you need to know. They have Joe Petitti leading off, playing shortstop. Played 143 games last year, 30 doubles. 34 stolen bases. That's pretty reliable. Bud Bowling. He will become their everyday catcher, it looks like, at age 31. Then we have Chris James, a rookie, out in left field. He's got a ton of power, although he's only hit 12 home runs, the most he's hit in the minors. Nick Asaski at first base. I think he's going to be pretty reliable. He's got power. Riverfront Stadium, probably not a great place back then to hit home runs. Wade Rowden at third base as a rookie. He had a pretty good year in Double-A. Then they have Ken Griffey Sr. He was on the Yankees in real life, but here he is still a Cincinnati Red. He's been a Red for life. And he's put up good numbers. Not really a power hitter, but he's hit double digits every year in our sim. That is reliable, and we like that. Darryl Brown, he is in center field. This will be his first chance to play every day. Ron Esther, second baseman. Looks like he gets plenty of PT. Hey, he hit 3 home runs last year, the first 3 of his career. Good for him. And Gary Reedus in left. He was he had 82 stolen bases in our 82 sim and 22 home runs, and then he couldn't make the lineup last year. So he's going to be out in left field this year. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to be on the bench. That makes total sense. Speaking of bench, there's Johnny Bench. He is still holding on. At 36 years old, he is the backup. Terrible rating. That sucks, but I mean, I don't care. I love Johnny Bench. Paul Householder, backup right fielder, can't play anywhere else. Well, he can play third base, I guess. Kim Allen. Oh man, we root for him every year to get to 100 stolen bases. He almost did it in 82. He had 97. Last year he had 83. This year he's probably where he belongs, which is on the bench. This is not an everyday player. Yeah, he's played first base and third base. Cincinnati even threw him in a right field one game. He's actually a second baseman. We'll see if he gets to play there or not. Eddie Milner, there's a good fourth outfielder. Play anywhere in the outfield. And Bump Wills. He was a free agent signing. Yes, he is a one-year deal. And he is a second baseman. He's still pretty good defensively. Played regularly for the Rangers. In fact, his entire career, he even managed to hit 22 home runs in our sim in 1982, which is just ridiculous. But he did it. And he has 200 career stolen bases, so that has got to be helpful. Okay, let's take a look at the minor league system for the Reds. They have a lot of players that got PT last year. Dan Driesen, Dwayne Walker, Steve Christmas, Tom Lawless, and Skeeter Barnes. All those guys got to play. Looks like Dwayne Walker played left field every day last year for the most part. And he did pretty good. Who's in left field this year, we said? Oh, it's a rookie, Chris James, with an 83 rating over Walker's 77 rating. So that makes sense. In Double A, schlubby schlubs, all kinds of schlubs. Oh, they got Wally Joyner with Ron Esther blocking him with an 81. Wally Joyner is the better hitter even right now. He's only 21 years old, and really he probably will have another year of seasoning in Double A, but he could make the roster right now. Bernardo Brito also has good ratings. In Single A, nothing. Scott Lusader, Ken Williams, I guess, maybe. Oh, Ruben Sierra, that's a very good ball player. And they got Benito San Diego, a great defensive catcher, and Ozzie Canseco, not the good Canseco. Ruben Sierra, though. Let's take a look at him. So he was drafted last year by the Reds, and he's still in development. He's only 18 years old. So that's, okay, so I can see why this team is good. It looks like they've cycled out of some of these everyday players that were kind of iffy in the first place, and they're starting to bring in players from the minors, but this lineup doesn't really get me excited. I wish Gary Reedus was in there. I would like to see Johnny Bench play, of course. Bump Wills could probably be a better second baseman, but Ron Esther seems to have that role. So I'm not really too excited about this lineup. Definitely not better than Atlanta's. So I don't know, maybe Atlanta moves up one here. Let's take a look at their pitching staff. Okay, well, this is a really, really good pitching staff. That's why they're a solid team. Their ace is Bruce Brainiac, who was 20-9 at 82 in our sim, and went 12-9 last year, with an ERA just right around the same, with a 2.47 ERA there. He did walk over 100, 192 strikeouts. Opponents batted 214. This guy is an ace. It's crazy that he did not make it to the majors until 1980. This guy's only got 56 career wins. He probably would have 100 or more by age 29. He's got a 94 rating. That's great. And look at that. He was undefeated on the way to the World Series victory in 1982. Okay, let's take a look at Mario Soto. Now, he got injured last year, and he is an amazingly good pitcher with a 2.07 ERA in 87 innings. I would expect him to be awesome. And they signed him to a long contract, so he'll be around. Tom Browning, Mr. Perfect, 16-6 with a 323. That's just awesome. Man, doesn't walk anybody. He's young. He's good. I mean, that's the best threesome of aces on a team. And then you got Charlie Liebrand. He's only 27 years old. He won 21 in our sim in 82, and then he went 10-13 last year. Kind of, I don't know, maybe it looks like he rebounded to where he really belongs with his ERA in the 4s, but he doesn't walk anybody. And his ratings are good. That's a great four-man rotation. And then you throw in Frank Pastor, who had 30 starts, 13-8 with a 2.77 ERA. And also doesn't walk anybody. Man, that is a great five-man rotation. That is the best rotation we've seen so far on any team. Wow, that's really, really good. Their closer is Bill Landrum. First year of closing as a 25-year-old. He's 26 now. He had 32 saves. And he won 12 games in relief as a setup man in 1982. That's good. That's impressive. Then they got Animal, Brad Leslie. He's a great reliever. I mean, this team is freaking stacked. Jay Howell. He's been a closer every year for Cincinnati until the new guy took over last year. So he can close. And then look at this. John Franco has a rookie coming up. 23 years old. He played until he was like 44. So he's got a long career ahead of him. Joe Price, Nothing to sneeze at. He is their long reliever, I believe, 4-3 with a 3.25 ERA. Oh, no, the long reliever is Bill Scherr, the Bird. That was his nickname as well as Mark Fidrich, and he's good. Okay. Man, that team might be the best staff I've seen so far. I can't imagine the Dodgers will be better, but it's possible. And then let's look at their AAA. They've got Bill Dawley. They got this guy named Angel Torres, rated an 80. They got Scott Terry, rated an 82. Keith Cato. They have 4 players in AAA right now ready to go. Oh, my God. They have Randy Johnson in AA to be another starter. He's only 20 years old here, as you can see him in this 1987 card. In real life, he didn't make it to the majors until 88. So he's way ahead of schedule. He did start 5 games, so he's like a September call-up for them. A 99-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, God, the Reds are going to be good for a while. So they got Randy Johnson. They got Freddie Tolliver with an 89. Rob Murphy, great reliever. Jeff Asaro, a great reliever. In single A, they got Greg Hibbert. They got Bobby Witt Sr., Greg Harris, Bob Malacky, Dave West, Randy Hennis. I don't know who that is. I said it with authority, but I have no idea who that is. So, yeah, I mean, wow, this team is stacked. They are stacked. Their batters are not that great. But, man, their pitching staff could carry them right back to the top. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what they do. Okay, here we go. The last team is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They won the division with an 88-74 record. So they only won 2 more games than the Reds did last year. Do the Dodgers have a team to compete? That is the question. Wow, they signed a lot of players to free agency. Let's take a look here. So they've got Jack Perconte as their second baseman. He's been their second baseman since we have started this sim. He has been reliable. He batted .312. He's won a Gold Glove. He was an All-Star. He had a 24-game hitting streak. So, yeah, he is their second baseman, even if you've never really heard of this guy. He's proven in this game. They've got Mike Sharperson to play third. Basically a rookie. Pedro Guerrero is their first baseman. Not the prolific home run hitter he was in real life, but he's got some power. All right. And then Mike Scioscia is their catcher. I guess this will be the first year for him playing every day at catcher. Good defensively. Jack Clark out in right field. He was on the Giants last year batting .301. They traded him over to L.A. He batted .256 for them. That's a good pickup for the Dodgers to play right field. Lemmy Miller out in left field. Never heard of this guy before, but he is apparently 23 years old and pretty damn good. Great contact hitter. Gary Weiss, another bizarre Dodger name, who is their shortstop, and he's played every year as a starter for them. Also, with accolades, he was an all-star. In fact, he was the leading vote getter at shortstop in 1980. And he had a 25-game hitting streak, for crying out loud. That's unbelievable. All right. And Bobby Mitchell is your center fielder. And he doesn't have any power. I mean, he's a good hitter. He's got good ratings anyway. Is that their number 8 hitter? Yeah. Now their bench, they have Tack Wilson. Looks like he's a pinch hitter, 4th outfielder type. They have Rudy Law, another pinch hitter, 4th outfielder type, at least with better defense. He could be in there every day. Look at that. He had 29 stolen bases and 21 stolen bases, despite playing in only 71 and 49 games. So, yeah, he's got a job when he gets in there. Joe Ferguson's their backup catcher. He's 37 years old, getting some PT behind Sosha. Mike Richert is their second base, I guess middle infielder. Utility guy, represented here on the Rangers. Dave Anderson, kind of that same role, but better. He is a rookie coming up in '84, and he can play anywhere in the infield. He can play the corner, outfield positions if they needed him to. Ron Renicky, another outfield option, mostly a pinch hitter. Okay, let's take a look at this, guys. They got Steve Sachs, they got Kenny Landreau, they got Mike Marshall. They have a guy named Wayne Coy, who apparently played a lot last year. Mike Hargrove is cooked. They've got Danny Pasqua now. Pasqua was on the Indians as a 22-year-old starter, 24 doubles, 22 home runs, a 784 OPS, a free agent. Oh, no, he was traded from Cleveland in the offseason for 3 guys, and you know what? They're not even going to use him. Now, in the Dodgers' defense, he didn't get any real playing time in the real life until 1984 in the majors. So he's put up 1,136 at-bats before he ever actually played in real life. So I guess he does have a future with the Dodgers, even if he doesn't get a chance to play much this year, because Lemmy Miller is blocking him, of all people. We got in Double-A. This is where the washed-up guys go to die. Now they do have Sixto Lizcano, who's rated an 80. He's not the worst. And Darryl Strawberry, highly rated. He did get some PT as a 17-year-old and has yet to make it back to the majors. Maybe it's because his defense isn't that great, but his offensive ratings are incredible. This guy should be, well, he's a rookie in real life, so he should be up there playing soon. They got Devo, Dan White. That's another great outfielder. Ken Canetti in Single-A. Vince Coleman, look at this. They got Rafael Palmeiro at first coming up. Great rated guys. Carlos Quintana. They have Pete Gavilia. I mean, wow, they have some real power in the minors, other than Vince Coleman, obviously. Come on, look at this. They can get these guys up. They could trade all these guys and have people to replace them right now. How is Steve Sachs playing second base ahead of Jack Perconte? I bet he will this year because the ratings are the same. He'll get a chance. I mean, I don't really think this lineup is great, but they have players who could fill in. So let's take a look at the pitching staff. All right. Yeah, so they have a decent rotation. They have Fernando Valenzuela in his 3rd season in our game. He was 10-12 last year, not all that effective. 3.25 ERA. Struck out a lot of guys, couldn't get the wins somehow. Maybe this year will be different, as he is the ace of the staff. Then they've got Tim Belcher as a 22-year-old, 9-10 with a 2.79 ERA last year. Was not yet in the major leagues in real life, but he's getting a chance to play. Then Bob Welch, he's old reliable, out of the University of, he was out of Michigan State University. 21-8 and 17-11, helping them win the division, looking pretty good. And then this guy, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but Gary Hannes, he won 18 games last year. He won 13 last year. 18 and 82 and 13 last year. He does walk a lot, but he strikes out more than he walks. So you got to give him that much. And he eats up innings. Apparently 238 is the magic number. So that's a solid 4th starter. And their 5th starter is Oral Hershiser. He made 1 start last year. He had 11 relief appearances, and he sneaks into the number 5 spot for the Dodgers. And, historically one of the best Dodgers pitchers of all time. And that's saying something. Let's take a look at their bullpen here. Their closer is Alejandro Pena. 28 saves last year, 6 blueys, solid numbers, and he'll take over that, or he'll keep that role this year. Their setup man is someone named Mike Hartley. Can't tell you much, but he did pitch in the NLCS last year, striking out 2 in 2 innings, so he must have been a late call-up for the Dodgers. Steve Howe, he is a solid pitcher for them and doesn't walk many. Yeah, he's great. 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Good left-hander out of the pen. Next one up is Dwayne Bice. He is, another. I mean, what can you say? I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like if you look at their numbers, this team is going to be hard to beat. There's a future Cincinnati Red, Ted Power. He's got the power. 2.87 ERA last year. He's great. And Ricky Wright will be the long reliever out of the pen. He played a little bit last year. Okay, let's take a look at Triple A. They have Mike Ramsey, who is actually a outfielder. This game thinks he's a starter. I should just take him out of the game. I think it's so stupid. I hate it when that happens. Then they got Dave Stewart. There's your 6th starter if you need him. They got, oh my God, they got Brian Holton, Steve Shirley, Bobby Castillo. So any of these guys could jump right in if they need them. All rated 80 or more. And they got, here's the Schlubbies. Then they got Jamie Moyer, pitched forever. He's a Double-A ready to go. Ken Howell's good. Rich Yet, rated 80. In Single-A, Rolando Orojo, Steve Sparks, a knuckleballer, and some other guys you might be familiar with, but Calvin Schiraldi, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, this is the best team in the division. Not by much. I think the Reds could go toe-to-toe with their pitching staff, but the Dodgers, I think, have a slight edge. The only good thing it would be if the Reds could get some of their AAA guys into the, or even their bench guys into the starting lineup. But I could say the same thing for the Dodgers. They're just really like 1 or 2 players away from being the best team in baseball. So, man, that's going to do it. I mean, let me know in the comments who you think the best team is in this division. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that it comes down to the Reds or the Dodgers. The Dodgers only had 75 home runs in 1983 in our sim. But that 3.06 ERA led the National League. And maybe that's where their future lies, is with their pitching staff, leading the Dodgers to the National League West. Okay, that is going to do it for today's video. That wraps up the series. Now, we will start the 1984 Detroit Tigers season replay. Opening day will take place on April 1st for us, not the 28th, as it is in real life. It's going to take place April 1st. Now, the only thing left to do, if we take a look here, follow me just for 1 second, to the Tigers calendar. You see, I have yet to play spring training, so I think I'm going to have a separate video in which I go day by day, advancing 1 day at a time, and making, checking the transactions, see who gets injured, who gets traded in spring training. That will be a separate video. I think that would be fun. I mean, I would like to see that, and I'll share that with you guys, and maybe it'll be interesting as well. So I'll have some time between now and opening day, okay? I'm not sure. I don't have an exact date yet, but it'll be a quicker video than these. So that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and or subscribe to the channel, and until next time, everyone, have a great day.